The genius's foul-mouthed parrot. I picked up a parrot that says some rather inappropriate things. I want to kiss my wife so badly, from head to toe, inside and out, I'll kiss it all. Wife, don't feed that damn dog anymore. Does it even know what good food tastes like? Feed me instead. For my wife, I'm infatuated. For my wife, I'm crazy. For my wife, I'd smash my head against a wall. Wow, I really, really like Jiang Fanghao. I wish she were truly my wife. I was silently cursing the owner who raised such a perverted parrot when I suddenly froze. Jiang Fanghao, isn't that my name? Just then, my roommate burst into the dorm, excitedly waving her phone around. Have you seen the confession post on the wall yet? Our department's cold, aloof heartthrob, the top student, lost his parrot. I heard there's a 10,000 yuan reward for whoever finds it. For the first time, my eyes fell upon that peculiar parrot. It had become the center of attention, surrounded by a curious crowd. The parrot perched regally on a high branch, its demeanor haughty, like a tiny prince surveying his subjects. Its eyes narrowed, disdainfully glancing at the crowd, an indescribably arrogant attitude. Its colorful rainbow tail feathers hung loosely, swaying gently with each passing breeze, creating a vibrant and lively picture. Suddenly, a male student, perhaps out of curiosity, reached out to catch the strange creature. Immediately, the parrot huffed in annoyance, "Dirty hand, stay away from me." Its attitude was extremely sharp, as if the student had committed an unforgivable sin. Not stopping there, another equally curious female student timidly reached out to touch its glossy feathers. Instantly, the parrot abruptly thrust its head out and pecked the girl's hand hard. "This is my wife, who allowed you to touch her casually?" The girl cried out in pain, clutching her hand, tears welling up as she left, rubbing her hand and muttering, clearly cursing the parrot. Yet the parrot showed no hint of remorse or wrongdoing. It nonchalantly flicked its splendid tail, continuing to puff out its chest, displaying ultimate arrogance. But then, suddenly, as if it had just discovered something incredibly important, its previously narrowed, coolly feigned eyes suddenly widened. It quickly spread its vibrant, colorful wings, forming a beautiful arc, then abruptly flew swiftly towards me at dizzying speed. As it flew, it joyfully shrieked, its voice full of excitement. "Wife! Wife! Wife!" The call echoed through a corner of the schoolyard. At that moment, I was rushing to class, so I paid little attention to the parrot's cries. I thought to myself that it must have mistaken me for someone else. It'd realize it soon enough and fly away. Who knew that this strange parrot would stubbornly follow me all the way to the lecture hall? Its calls of "wife" grew louder and sweeter with an unusual lilt, even prolonging the final syllables, sending shivers down my spine. Reluctantly, I had to stop, trying to explain logically to it in a serious tone. "I don't know you at all. Can you please go find your owner?" I tried to lower my voice, speaking as gently as possible. But the parrot seemed to pay no mind to anything I said, continuing its incessant, "Wife! Wife!" The sound repeated nonstop, driving me crazy. Recalling how disgusted it looked when someone else tried to touch it, a bold idea suddenly struck me. So I also pretended to reach out to catch it, just to see what would happen. The result was beyond my imagination. The parrot not only didn't shy away, but enthusiastically rubbed its head against my hand, twisting its neck, displaying extreme delight. "Wife, a kiss, a kiss." It even rubbed its beak against my hand, appearing incredibly affectionate. At this point, I felt like I was about to collapse. What the hell was going on? What kind of parrot would be programmed to do such strange things? Is its owner even a normal person? I truly couldn't understand. Completely at a loss, I decided to take it back to the dorm for now. In my head, I planned to post about finding its owner on the school's confession wall later. I hoped someone would recognize this parrot. After rushing frantically to class, I realized I was late. Nearly 20 minutes late. I stealthily slipped in through the back door, trying not to make a sound. To my surprise, the 4 back rows were almost full, with only one empty seat next to a male student wearing a baseball cap, sitting at the very edge of the row. So, I awkwardly bent low, trying to tiptoe my way close to him. Then I gently tugged at his sleeve and softly called out, "Excuse me, student." The pen gliding across the paper in his hand suddenly stopped. His pale, cold face, hidden under the brim of a black cap, subtly tilted towards me, revealing delicate features that radiated such coldness it was almost dazzling. His long, ink-black eyes were incredibly still and composed. That gaze seemed to ask a silent question. "What is it?" I stared blankly for a moment, my throat dry, unconsciously swallowing. Why does he look so intimidating? He's definitely not the type of person who's easy to get acquainted with or approach. Maybe I should look for another seat? What is it? He suddenly asked, breaking the silence. His voice was as icy as his appearance. Fine, I'll risk it. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath to gather my courage, then asked in a trembling voice, "Excuse me, I'd like to take the seat further inside next to yours if that's okay." As soon as I finished, I heard him respond decisively, "Okay." With that, he quickly leaned to one side to make way for me. "Go ahead." I hastily thanked him. "Thank you." Then I bent down and squeezed into the seat. Perhaps due to being too nervous and anxious, as I squeezed through, I slipped slightly, suddenly lost my balance and fell backward. "Oh, Jiang Fanghao, you're really done for this time." Just as I was about to tumble into the male student's lap, I suddenly felt a hand gently steady me from behind. Seeing that I was back on my feet, he quickly withdrew his hand. I quickly sat down, turned to him and apologized profusely. "I'm so sorry, thank you so much." The person next to me didn't turn to look, merely pulled his cap brim down a little lower, grunted indifferently, then bent his head back to focus on writing. I just couldn't understand why his earlobes were mysteriously flushed red. The entire class felt like I was sitting on pins and needles, and I finally endured until the eagerly awaited break time. The pen in his hand continued to move steadily, his gaze focused, long eyelashes partially obscuring his eyes. I was reluctant to bother him. My hand hovered in the air, hesitating for a long time, ultimately not daring to tap his shoulder. I turned around, climbed over the desk behind me, and quickly left the classroom, completely unaware that the person sitting next to me had, after a very long time, finally gathered enough courage to lean his head over to speak to me. My roommate hadn't returned yet. In the dorm, there was only that annoying parrot. It had burrowed into my open closet, vigorously rubbing its head against my clothes as if it were its cherished nest. I was so angry I was trembling, pointing at it and shouting, "Get out right now." Hearing my voice, the parrot immediately looked up at me with a bewildered expression. That uninvited parrot was brazenly wearing a very sensitive item on its tiny head, a pair of my pink lace underwear. Its eyes, round as two dewy green peas, sparkled with mischief, looking straight at me and calling out, "Wife!" Immediately, my face flushed red, a blush spreading like wildfire. Without a moment's hesitation, I snatched that bizarre hat off its head, then grabbed it and shooed it out of my beloved closet. This was truly a disaster from the heavens. I couldn't believe this parrot harbored such a perverted soul. This was 100% its owner's fault. That person definitely couldn't be decent either. When I returned it, I would definitely glare at him fiercely a few times, making my contempt clear, then secretly take some unflattering photos of him and post them on social media for everyone to be wary of and stay away from such a person. While I was trying to reorganize the mess of clothes in the closet, the parrot unexpectedly flew a circle around the dorm room, then gently landed on my shoulder, the place I thought was safest. It continued in a fawning voice, "Wife!" Seeing that I had no reaction at all, it brazenly nudged its tiny beak close to my ear, continuing to repeat its refrain, "Wife! Wife!" I remained determined to hold my ground, ignoring it. So it let out a soft, pitiful whimper, as if the whole world had abandoned it. Then its eyes darted around, as if remembering something incredibly important. It opened its pretty little beak and unleashed a torrent of words that made me want to disappear into the ground instantly. "Want to kiss my wife so much? From inside out, from head to toe, want to kiss every spot." "You beast, what are you saying?" I couldn't take it anymore. I immediately grabbed its tiny neck and demanded, "Who taught you that? Was it your owner?" The parrot had no intention of resisting. In fact, it seemed to be enjoying it. Seeing that I was finally paying attention to its existence, it flapped its wings continuously, its face full of excitement and joy. Taking advantage of its victory, it continued to spout perverse words. "Wife, don't feed that damn dog anymore. Does it even know how to appreciate it? Feed me instead." After that, it unleashed a sickeningly saccharine monologue. "For my wife, I'm obsessed. For my wife, I'm going crazy. For my wife, I'd bash my head against a wall." Then it suddenly changed its tone, becoming tearful and mournful. "Wow, I really, really like her. Oh, Jiang Fanghao, if only she were really my wife, how wonderful that would be." "Wait a minute, Jiang Fanghao, is there some mistake here? Isn't that my name?" While I was still stunned by the shock and trying to process the information I'd just heard, the dorm room door suddenly burst open. My roommate, Dakai, rushed in like a whirlwind, excitedly waving her mobile phone in her hand. Have you seen the confession wall yet?" She didn't let me react before she rambled on. "Our department's heartthrob, the high and mighty flower of our department, the cold-faced top student, Jiang Fanghao, has lost his parrot. I heard that whoever finds this parrot will be rewarded 10,000 yuan. I was utterly stunned. Who lost a parrot? Dakai immediately pressed her phone close to my face so I could see clearly. Jiang Fanghao, who else? He's the most handsome heartthrob in our department. Super smart too. It's just that he's as cold as ice. Every day, you only see him alone, looking solitary. My other roommates even used to grumble, wondering if he was mute since they never heard him say a single word. On the phone screen was a candid photo taken from an angle. The picture showed a tall, slender male student with incredibly long legs, standing in the shade of a row of trees by the roadside. He tilted his head naturally, his gaze indifferently sweeping towards the camera lens. Suddenly, I found that gaze strangely familiar. Wait, wasn't this the person who sat next to me in class today? Dakai continued to babble on excitedly. What do those other roommates even know? They're just a bunch of simpletons. They're definitely just jealous of our top student. Luckily, he's moved out otherwise, who knows how much worse those rotten people would have slandered him behind his back. After saying that, she hugged her phone tightly, spinning around the room with a delighted expression. With a face like that, no matter how cold and icy he is, he could make any girl's heart flutter and laugh. In our whole department, his face is definitely top tier. It's just a shame that everyone only dares to admire him from afar, and no one dares to approach him to talk. Rumor has it that he's never even opened his mouth to talk to anyone in our department. He's famously aloof. Before, someone tried to sneakily sit next to him, but he immediately blocked the seat with his backpack, not allowing them to sit together. What? I suddenly recalled the scene in class today. Jiang Fanghao had not hesitated at all to give me a seat. A very strange, indescribable feeling surged within me. Clearly, he wasn't as terrifyingly cold as the rumors claimed. At least, he didn't treat others poorly. Well, his face was a bit cold, that's all. I was deep in thought, head bowed, completely unaware that my hand had unconsciously loosened its grip. The parrot, which I had been holding tightly by the neck as if holding NODA's fate, quickly found an opportunity to escape its bonds. It immediately spread its wings and soared into the air, flying and not forgetting to shriek loudly in its characteristic piercing voice. "Wife! Wife! Wife!" Damn it, I almost forgot about this notoriously loud loudspeaker. Wait a minute, didn't Dakai just mention whose parrot this was? As soon as I turned around, I saw Dakai's eyes wide, her face full of astonishment. She stared at the parrot circling the room, repeatedly pulling out her phone to compare images several times. Then she shrieked, her voice filled with extreme excitement, "We're about to get rich." I clutched my head and slowly sank onto the sofa. I truly couldn't believe it. This was beyond imagination. The owner of this perverted parrot was actually Jiang Fanghao. I tried to recall his indifferent yet incredibly clear eyes. Is this a joke? He was completely the type of well-behaved, polite, academically brilliant top student. Could that just be a facade? How could someone come up with such bizarre antics? The sweet calls of "wife" and the breathtakingly suggestive phrases kept pouring from that parrot's beak. I wondered how many times its owner had repeated those sentences in front of it for it to learn so astonishingly fast. And then there was that line, "Why, I really, really like her. Oh, Jiang Qingshuan, if only she were truly my wife, how wonderful that would be." Just thinking about it made my face burn crimson. Could it be that Jiang Fanghao secretly had a crush on me? I really didn't dare to believe this truth. What if I had misunderstood his intentions? Perhaps it was just a name coincidence with someone else. After all, we hadn't known each other at all before this. But losing his parrot like this, Jiang Fanghao must be worried sick. The urgent thing to do now was to quickly return the parrot to him. As for other matters, I'd wait until we met in person to clarify them later. Jiang Fanghao was my class president. Once, during a class fund collection, he had proactively added me on WeChat. I hesitated for half a day before finally typing a message. "Are you there?" The other side replied almost instantly, without any delay, "I'm here." My heart began to pound faster and faster. "The thing is, I just found your parrot." As soon as the message was sent, the other person fell into a terrifying silence, as if they had vanished from the world. After a long, drawn-out silence, a reply finally came. It's a bit talkative, isn't it? I replied. Another suffocating silence enveloped the conversation. A moment later, as if gathering all his courage, he tremblingly sent another message. So, did it say anything? Anything inappropriate? I did say something, I replied, accompanied by a wry, knowing emoji. This time, the other person replied instantly, without hesitation. I'm sorry, I really didn't mean to teach it that. It's okay, do you want your parrot back? Yes, I do. So, are you free later? Yes, I am. After we arranged to meet at a cafe near school, I belatedly realized something. Looking back at our conversation, that famously cold academic genius wasn't as cold as I thought. In fact, he was a little adorable. I carried the parrot, which I had tied up tightly like a sticky rice cake for Tet, to the agreed-upon cafe. Upon arriving, I saw that Jiang Fanghao was already there, waiting. But he wasn't wearing the same clothes as this morning. He had changed. His usual messy hair, which typically obscured his long eyelashes, was now slicked back, revealing a pale, high, and sharp forehead. Thanks to this, his features stood out even more, looking more refined than ever. He was already trembling slightly on his seat, and as soon as he saw me walk in, he seemed to tremble even more violently. Was my appearance that frightening? Wait a minute, wasn't the person in front of me the top student in school, the one who always maintained a cold, distant demeanor with everyone? Why was he trembling like this now? This reaction was completely contrary to the aloof image I knew. Still lost in this jumble of thoughts, Jiang Fanghao suddenly bowed his head, his voice trembling with remorse. I'm sorry. I was a little startled. I hadn't expected him to react like that, so I quickly reassured him. It's okay, you really don't need to apologize. It's nothing big, I don't mind. As soon as I finished speaking, I saw Jiang Fanghao's eyes droop. He bit his lower lip tightly, his expression as if he were on the verge of tears. He looked truly pathetic at that moment, making me feel incredibly sorry for him. But at this moment, I had to be firm, a little cruel. I held out one earbud towards him. Jiang Fanghao looked up at me with a suspicious gaze, his long, curved eyelashes still glistening with tears. I told him, listen to this. Then I played the recording on my phone. Immediately, the scandalous words that the parrot had repeated earlier that day rang out, including, wow, I really, really like her. Oh, Jiang Qingshuan, if only she were truly my wife, how wonderful that would be. The more he listened, the redder Jiang Fanghao's cheeks became. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore. He yanked the earbud off, lowered his head, and mumbled another apology to me. I didn't respond to his apology. Instead, I rested my chin in my hand, a faint smile on my lips, looked straight at him and asked, Jiang Fanghao, do you like me? As soon as I finished speaking, his body immediately trembled violently, as if a terrible secret had just been exposed. His face showed extreme panic. I chuckled mischievously, tilting my head slightly as I asked, really? Jiang Fanghao's body remained rigid for a long time, then finally seemed to deflate like a popped balloon. Very softly, almost inaudibly, but still catching my ear, a small "him." Along with that "him" came tears. They fell silently onto the tabletop, making tiny tap sounds. Why did it suddenly seem like I was bullying him? I quickly stood up, awkwardly trying to comfort him. Hey, don't cry anymore. What's wrong? Is liking me that embarrassing? Jiang Fanghao shook his head while crying. No. It was fortunate that the cafe wasn't too crowded at this moment. Otherwise, seeing a top student confessing his feelings and then crying so miserably would truly make people want to take him home and adopt him. It was a good thing no one was watching this. If they had seen it, tomorrow the school forum would probably have a post. Shocking, cold heartthrob bullied by girlfriend into tears. I sighed and helped him wipe away his tears. I asked again, if you like me, why didn't you confess properly instead of secretly telling a parrot? You even corrupted someone else's parrot. Jiang Fanghao bowed his head, softly replying, I thought you already had a boyfriend. I was surprised, not understanding. How is it that I don't know I have a boyfriend? Jiang Fanghao looked up in surprise. But you posted on Moments, you were. What? I opened my WeChat app, scrolled back through Moments, and held it close to his face. Show me which post says I have a boyfriend. Jiang Fanghao pointed to a post. This one. I pulled the phone back to look. Dating with my boyfriend once a month. The accompanying photo was a basket full of snacks from the Zhao Yiming brand. I was both amused and annoyed. Don't you know this meme? My boyfriend is Zhao Yiming, the snack brand. Jiang Fanghao's eyelashes trembled slightly. Ah, I see. Your boyfriend has a unique name, doesn't he? It made sense. After all, our class president was always buried in his studies. His social media update speed was as slow as a snail's. I sighed and patiently explained everything in detail to him. Jiang Fanghao finally looked up, his eyes sparkling. So you don't, I replied with a nod. Not at all. So do I have a chance to pursue you? I nodded again. Absolutely. Jiang Fanghao's eyes widened as if he couldn't believe his ears. But don't you find me disgusting? Huh, I mean all those things I said to the parrot. I calmly answered as truthfully as possible. Not at all. Actually, I'm someone who values appearance. If a handsome person has a crush, it's called unrequited love. Only ugly people are considered harassers. The next morning, as soon as I woke up, I quickly grabbed my phone. Just as expected, Jiang Fanghao had sent me a series of messages. Good morning, I bought you breakfast, I left it downstairs. I immediately jumped out of bed, quickly got ready, did my makeup, lightly curled my hair and put on my new dress. Running my hand through my hair, face flushed, I shyly stepped out of the dorm. In my head, I pictured a handsome boy holding breakfast, waiting for me downstairs. Everyone around would be whispering, "Oh my, what a lucky girl." It truly felt like I was living a fairy tale, but the reality was completely different. As soon as I stepped out, I found no one there. I suspiciously walked around the dorm area but still didn't see anyone I knew. Just then, the dorm manager called out to me, "Hey, Jiang Qingshuan, someone left something for you at the guard's office." I went to check. What met my eyes was a huge bag filled with all kinds of breakfast items: beef noodles, dumplings, fried dough sticks, steamed buns with various fillings. The manager then brought out another bag. And this too, I almost forgot. Oh my goodness, a bag overflowing with various yogurts and soy milk. I started to question life. Could Jiang Fanghao really have carried all this here by himself? My phone vibrated again. I didn't know what you liked to eat, so I bought a little bit of everything. Brother, if you don't know, why don't you ask? Do you not have a mouth? I really wanted to text back something like that, but I was afraid his sensitive mind would overthink and suffer in silence, so I gently replied instead, "Thank you, but this is too much. My roommate and I can't eat all of it. It'll go to waste. Next time, you just need to buy a few meat-filled buns and some soy milk." Jiang Fanghao seemed to hesitate for a moment, then sent a sticker of a spinning kitten. That's actually quite cute. Wait a minute, maybe I forgot something. Why didn't you wait for me downstairs? Did you lose patience because I was too slow? Jiang Fanghao replied. No, it's not that. Last night, I stayed up all night helping my professor write a research paper. I only finished around 8 a.m. I didn't have time to shower and change to meet you. So that was it. I sent a head pat sticker. It's okay. Even if you don't change clothes for a week, you're still handsome as ever. Jiang Fanghao seemed embarrassed. It took him a while to finally text back a simple, Since he started pursuing me, Jiang Fanghao had almost entirely provided me with 3 meals a day. Sometimes he'd order food and bubble tea for me, other times he'd take me out to eat. I felt a little awkward, so I teased him, "If I don't agree to date you in the end, won't you suffer a huge loss?" Jiang Fanghao was bowing his head, peeling the last shrimp for me. After finishing the last shrimp, he pushed the plate of peeled shrimp towards me, feigning indifference, and said, "It's okay, I did it willingly." After saying that, he stood up. "I'm going to the restroom for a bit." This trip to the restroom seemed a bit long, so long that I started to suspect if he intended to sneak away to avoid paying. But then I suddenly remembered that he had given me quite a few gold necklaces and bracelets before. It seemed he wasn't that short on money. I felt a little worried, intending to get up and look for him. I had only taken 2 steps when I saw someone squatting under a fire extinguisher box, sobbing and talking on the phone to someone. Wow, she said she doesn't want to be my girlfriend? Because the call was on speaker, I clearly heard the person on the other end say, "She doesn't like you but still takes your stuff. She's just toying with you. Don't be sad over people like that." Still crying, Jiang Fanghao argued back, "What do you know? It's already an honor for me that she's willing to accept anything from me. But the necklaces and bracelets I gave her, she didn't accept anything at all. Does she really not want to accept me? Wah!" He cried for a long time, then bravely wiped his tears and stood up, saying, "It's okay, as long as I treat her even better, there's definitely still hope." Who knew he'd forgotten about the fire sprinkler directly above him? Crash, a painful collision. I quietly returned to my seat, pretending not to have seen anything, and continued eating. Actually, after spending time with him, I had gradually developed feelings for him too. Later, I would proactively find a suitable time to confess my feelings first. Seeing his miserable state today also made my heart ache. How about deciding on this Friday then? Friday arrived and my French-Chinese cousin returned from overseas. He even drove a bright red Ferrari and stopped right in front of the school gate. Jiang, my cousin with curly brown hair, wearing a black leather jacket, wide-leg pants, and a huge gold chain dangling around his neck. He leaned languidly against the car door, smirking as he said, "Hello, beautiful, wanna go grab a drink with me?" I felt incredibly embarrassed, quickly pulling him away. "Go now." "Who gave you permission to come to school looking for me?" Jiang completely ignored the stares of those around us, brazenly leaned down and touched his lips to my cheek as a greeting. He then wrapped his arms around me, nuzzling like a puppy. "I missed you like crazy," I chuckled, pushing him away. "Who's this furry like a dog? You look like a teddy bear." Jiang didn't care. "I'm starving, I'm about to faint. Come eat with me." My hand suddenly paused. "I already have plans today." Jiang immediately reacted sharply. "Plans with whom? No way, I worked so hard to come all this way. You have to go with me. It's my fiancé, sweetie." As I said that, I looked down at my phone and saw a message I'd sent to Jiang Fanghao. "Let's meet at the school gate today and grab a bite. I have something to tell you." No response yet. I frowned, looked up, and was surprised to see someone standing under a nearby tree. His face, hidden under a black cap, looked gloomy as he stared at me and my cousin, having been there for who knows how long. Jiang also just noticed him, exclaiming in surprise, "Oh my god, who's that? He looks as scary as a ghost." Oh no, this is it. As expected, just as I was about to call out to him, Jiang Fanghao turned his back and walked away. And he wasn't walking normally, he sped up and started running. I pushed Jiang away. "You go eat by yourself. I have to go appease my future husband." By the time I chased after him, Jiang Fanghao had vanished. Breathing heavily, I took out my phone to call him, but he didn't answer. He only sent back a single, cold text. "Don't." Could it be that he saw me being intimate with my cousin and got jealous? But at least he should have given me a chance to explain. I couldn't call him, and when I tried to text him, oh no, I was blocked. What was going on? Did he perhaps give up on pursuing me? Honestly, I was a bit annoyed. Over such a small thing, he jumped to conclusions without even asking for clarification. Good heavens, if he wants to flirt, flirt, if not, then stop. I'll just ignore him. Thinking that, I turned around and went back to the dorm. But the more I thought about it, the more irritated I became, so angry that I couldn't sleep all night. The next morning, I went to class with dark circles under my eyes like a panda. As soon as I sat down, the area outside became bustling and noisy. Exhausted, I planned to put my face down on the desk for a quick nap. Just then, my roommate enthusiastically pulled me up. "You, guess who I just saw?" "How would I know?" I replied wearily. "Jiang Fanghao." As soon as I heard that name, my heart gave a slight pang. "Do you know what he's wearing today?" "What is it?" Actually, I wasn't curious at all. What he wore was none of my business. Even if he ran naked in the street, I wouldn't care. But the truth was even more shocking than him being naked, because Jiang Fanghao was wearing a leather jacket, baggy wide-leg pants, and a huge gold chain around his neck. That's not all. His familiar dark, parted hair was now styled into chestnut brown curls. Someone who usually dressed so simply and discreetly had suddenly transformed like this. Yet strangely, when combined with his scholarly face, it didn't look ridiculous at all. On the contrary, it exuded a unique, unusually attractive handsomeness, even more handsome than my cousin. I nodded in agreement. Wait, my cousin? I knew it. Why did he look so familiar? Damn it. That Jiang Fanghao today was dressed exactly like my cousin yesterday. Even his hairstyle was an exact imitation. In that moment, I suddenly understood everything. Oh my god, this guy must think I like someone like my cousin, so he deliberately dressed up like that. And sure enough. Under everyone's surprised and admiring gazes, Jiang Fanghao, with a cold expression, walked step by step towards me and then very naturally sat down next to me. He held out a plastic bag. "Breakfast." I ignored him. Jiang Fanghao pushed the bag of food towards me again. "Eat breakfast." I still didn't react. Jiang Fanghao's hand paused in midair. Throughout the class, Jiang Fanghao continuously passed me notes, all of them apologies. I completely ignored them, focusing only on the lesson and taking careful notes. Jiang Fanghao seemed disheartened. He quietly gathered those papers and then also began to listen intently to the lecture. When class ended and everyone else had left, only we remained in the classroom. Finally, he couldn't hold it in anymore. "You," he called, his voice a little hurt, as if on the verge of tears. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it." I pretended not to hear anything and abruptly stood up, but someone grabbed my sleeve. "I'm sorry, you, please let me explain." I coldly pulled my sleeve back, then turned and walked straight towards the door. But before I could even step out of the classroom, an arm wrapped tightly around my waist. A soft head with messy hair gently rubbed against the hollow of my neck. "I'm sorry, you." A tear fell onto my skin, burning so hot that I shivered slightly. Jiang Fanghao's entire body trembled, no longer maintaining his usual composure. He turned me around and pressed me against the wall. "Please don't leave me." Jiang Fanghao buried his head in my shoulder, his voice pleading, miserable and small. I really didn't mean to stop you, I was afraid. If I didn't eat, you would say things like, 'Don't pursue me anymore.' I don't like you at all. I was so scared." So that was it. He saw me being intimate with my cousin and thought the words I was about to say were a rejection. Jiang Fanghao's trembling body paused. So he even kissed you." I gently flicked his forehead. "He just got back from France, that's just a cheek kiss greeting." Jiang Fanghao looked up at me, his eyes red and sparkling with unshed tears. "Really? Really?" I gently stroked his head. Jiang Fanghao obediently rubbed his head into my palm, just like a puppy enjoying affectionate petting. His voice was muffled, full of joy. "Then nothing could be better?" Suddenly, a thought flashed through my mind, and I blurted it out. "Wait a minute. If you misunderstood my cousin as my boyfriend, then why did you still personally bring me breakfast this morning?" Jiang Fanghao gently kissed the tip of my finger. That warm, soft sensation spread through my body, making my chest swell with an itchy, indescribable emotion. "Because I love you more and more every day. I can't bear to be without you. Even if you already had a boyfriend, I'd still willingly follow you silently from behind. As long as you don't completely ignore me, that's enough." Those words sounded so pathetic that my heart ached. I lifted his face and gently placed a light kiss on the corner of his lips. "Then let's be together, I like you too." I sighed softly, running my hand through his soft hair. "The person you saw yesterday was my cousin, not my boyfriend." Jiang Fanghao was stunned, his eyes wide as if he couldn't believe what he had just heard. His long, curved eyelashes fluttered like a butterfly's wings. Soon, clear tears silently rolled down his cheeks again. Really? Really?" Jiang Fanghao seemed to turn to stone, standing there motionless, tears still falling in tiny drips. "Don't cry anymore." I opened my arms and hugged him tightly. "Wouldn't it be better to smile?" Jiang Fanghao obediently pulled up the corners of his lips, forcing a smile. So can I call you wife?" I hesitated slightly. "That might be a bit too soon." Immediately, another stream of tears fell, soaking my shoulder. All right, if you want to call me that, go ahead." "Wife." Jiang Fanghao hugged me even tighter, as if afraid I would disappear. From that day forward, it seemed Jiang Fanghao had completely unleashed his true nature. Whenever and wherever, he had to call me wife. The last time I was walking down the street with my roommate, he spotted me from afar, his eyes lighting up as he cried out, "Wife!" I panicked and ran over to cover his mouth. "Jiang Fanghao?" Jiang Fanghao blinked, his face innocent and bewildered, so I had to sit down and negotiate with him. "You can't call me that in public." But things didn't stop there. He always wanted to kiss. While studying in the library, he suddenly grabbed my head, intending to pounce and kiss me. After awkwardly looking around and offering an apologetic glance to all the indignant faces around us, I gently slapped Jiang Fanghao's cheek. Jiang Fanghao's eyes widened, his face expressing shock and disbelief as he looked at me. He had just received an unexpected slap from me, and before I could even apologize or soothe him, his expression changed rapidly. Initially, it was utter astonishment, as if he couldn't believe what had just happened, then it suddenly shifted to a radiant look, as if he had just discovered something incredibly interesting and joyful. That look of delight shone as brightly as car headlights beaming straight at my face. My goodness, he's happy even when he's slapped. Just as I predicted, he immediately pounced on me, hugging me tightly, his voice utterly spoiled. "Wife, dearest wife, hit me again, please. Just one more time, wife, please." This eccentric guy's mind was always on skinship hugging, kissing, all sorts of things. Yet, his academic performance not only didn't decline but actually improved, as he was eventually retained by the university and went straight to graduate school at the prestigious Tsinghua University. I, on the other hand, decided not to pursue further education and chose to start working right away. Both of us rented a cozy little apartment on the outskirts of the city, officially beginning our life together. Every day I was swamped with work, buried in projects. As for Jiang Fanghao, his mind was so brilliant that experiments and thesis writing were as easy as pie for him. So, he would often sneak away from school, running home to me whenever he had a moment to spare. Once again, one morning, just as I was about to leave for work, Jiang Fanghao suddenly held my hand, his voice a little sulky. "Wife, if you go to work today, what should I do at home?" I gently stroked his head, soothing him. "I don't know either. What do you usually do when you're home alone?" Without a moment's hesitation, he immediately replied, "Wait for you to come home." Just that one short sentence melted my heart into a puddle. Without thinking much, I hugged his head and kissed him repeatedly. Okay, I'll try to finish work early today and come straight home to you." But this damned company always had too many tasks to handle. Even after returning home, I still had to cling to my laptop, buried in the screen, working nonstop. Jiang Fanghao kept calling, "Wife, wife," and clung to me, trying to coax me into kissing him. I reluctantly gave him 2 perfunctory kisses, then quickly pushed his head away, continuing to stare at the computer screen. Behind me, where I couldn't see, Jiang Fanghao tilted his head, deep in thought for a moment, then suddenly stood up, went to the kitchen shelf, and picked up a fruit knife. He started peeling an apple and then suddenly, "What's wrong with you?" I jolted, spinning my head around. I panicked, realizing blood was dripping onto the floor from his hand. On his pale, slender fingers, there was a long, deep cut, bleeding continuously. Jiang Fanghao frowned, looking at me, his voice a little pained. "Wife, it hurts a little." I jumped up in alarm, quickly pulled him to the sink to wash the wound, then carefully bandaged it for him. While cradling his head, I soothed him. It's okay. I won't work anymore. I'll stay by your side, all right?" Jiang Fanghao rubbed his head against my shoulder and neck, softly nodding without a word. But what I couldn't see, behind my back, Jiang Fanghao, who had just cried out in pain, was secretly curling the corners of his lips into a smug smile. Lately, I felt that something was very strange about Jiang Fanghao. His behavior seemed unusual compared to before. Our relationship seemed to have faded somewhat. Not just emotional intimacy, but even affectionate gestures like kissing had become rare. Whenever I tried to touch him, he would flinch like an innocent girl being harassed, his earlobes turning red, and he'd quickly shy away. This left me utterly perplexed. Had his love for me run dry? Whenever I asked, he would always avoid my gaze, only repeating a vague answer, "It's nothing." But then one day, when I wrapped my arms around his neck, wanting to give him a sweet kiss, he tried to tilt his head away. My patience ran out. I quickly pressed him against the wall, executing a bold wall slam, and trapped him. My eyes interrogated him. "Tell me, what's been wrong with you lately?" Jiang Fanghao lowered his head, his face looking oddly innocent and pathetic. If it weren't for his strange actions recently, I might have believed his innocence. "You won't tell me." Disappointment began to creep into my heart, but I still tried to hold on to a glimmer of hope. "Have you found another woman outside?" Jiang Fanghao's eyes widened, and he shook his head vigorously like a rattledrum to deny my accusation. "So, you're tired of me?" He continued to shake his head. I guessed and guessed, but still couldn't find the reason. I sighed, letting everything go. For some reason, my chest felt heavy. Where was the puppy who used to follow me everywhere, clinging to me? Could it be that, in the end, we couldn't conquer the cruelty of time? Yes, we had been together for 3 years now. Had he started to get bored of me? A feeling of emptiness surged, and I stood up straight and said, "All right then, why don't we take some time apart to calm down for a while? Tonight, I'll sleep in the next room." Before I could finish, I saw the tall man in front of me suddenly darken, and then silent tears rolled down his cheeks. He reached out and pulled me back, his voice choked. "It's not like that, wife." Wiping his tears, he choked out, "It's just that lately I've found it too hard to control myself." I frowned, puzzled, and asked, "Control what?" He turned his face away, whispering so softly that I had to lean close to hear clearly. "I really want to be intimate with you, but you once said it should only be after marriage. But every time I hug and kiss you, I want more than that. I'm afraid I won't be able to control myself, so I've had to avoid you." Ah, so that was it. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. "You're so obedient," Jiang Fanghao nodded repeatedly. "Everything my wife says is right, I follow it strictly." "All right then." I thought for a moment and said, "Actually, it's not impossible." Jiang Fanghao's eyes lit up like fire. "Really? Really?" I chuckled, nodding in agreement. So Jiang Fanghao cautiously leaned in and kissed me, softly calling, "Wife." Seeing that I didn't resist, he immediately became bolder. His kisses were more passionate than ever, trailing downwards, exploring and possessing. "Wife," he whispered, his voice hoarse and filled with suppressed desire. "I want to kiss you, your whole body, from deep within, all of you is mine." I was startled back to my senses, realizing the danger of the infatuation I just felt. Immediately, I quickly grabbed his hair, pulling his head away from my chest. "Stop," I said, my voice a little shaky. "I almost forgot. Where's that parrot you said you adopted? I haven't seen any trace of it since you brought it back." In Jiang Fanghao's deep eyes, surging desire, impossible to conceal, gleamed with intense possessiveness. He still didn't let go, slowly kissing my arm, little by little, as if wanting to imprint his ownership onto my skin. "I don't know either, wife," he replied, his tone a little evasive. Maybe it craved freedom too much and flew off to find new horizons. Before I could fully grasp the hidden meaning behind his words, his fervent kisses had already emptied my mind, leaving me with no strength to think any further. A long time later, when I accidentally passed a small pet shop by the roadside, in an iron cage, I was stunned to see the familiar parrot. As soon as it saw me, its tiny eyes sparkled and it happily shrieked, "Wife!" I was astonished, a suspicion rising in my heart. So it was adopted by this shop owner? Why didn't he tell me? To my surprise, the shop owner looked at me with a very peculiar gaze, mixed with a little confusion and bewilderment. "Oh no, that's not it," he hastily explained. "This parrot has been mine all along. I've raised it since it was small. It's just that it's so smart and lively and cute that sometimes pretty girls come and borrow it to keep for a while for fun." The shop owner seemed to suddenly remember something and continued. "Ah, that's right, there was also a handsome, well-dressed young man who borrowed it for a while. But I don't know what nonsense he taught it. Ever since he returned it, the parrot just screams, 'Wife.' Wife, all day long, and it says some really perverted things too." He grimaced, seemingly displeased with what the parrot had learned. He returned it and thanked me profusely, saying it was thanks to me that he was able to pursue the person he liked. The shop owner scratched his head, looking puzzled. What a strange person. The technician who came to fix the air conditioner in my house, before leaving, suddenly secretly handed me a small object, discreetly as if afraid someone would see. It was a micro camera, incredibly sophisticated. It was hidden in the fan blade of the air conditioner. He whispered, his voice full of worry. The technician hesitated, as if there was still something he hadn't fully said. I have a feeling there's not just this one. You should be careful." Indeed, his intuition was correct. I successively found several other hidden cameras in the house. Behind the lush potted plant in the living room, on the bathroom ceiling where steam often rose, in the gap between the soft throw pillows on the sofa, and in a hidden corner of our private bedroom. Each camera was carefully numbered, with tiny handwritten white slips of paper attached in a familiar handwriting. I immediately recognized that all of them were Jiang Fanghao's handwriting. My feelings at that moment, I honestly don't know how to describe them. Anger, disgust, pain all blended into an indescribable mess. I just silently sat on the sofa, hugging my knees, staring at the pile of tiny cameras for a long time until Jiang Fanghao returned home. Just as the door opened, he excitedly called out, "Wife, I'm home." As soon as he saw me sitting comfortably on the soft sofa, he ignored everything and rushed towards me, eager. "My dear wife, let me have a kiss for good luck." I silently, without a word, pushed him away. Jiang Fanghao's face froze for a moment, showing surprise. He looked up and immediately spotted the array of cameras and recording devices laid out haphazardly on the table. His entire body suddenly trembled uncontrollably. His eyes darted frantically between me and the cameras, stammering, "Wife, I can explain everything." And so, Jiang Fanghao began to tell me a story steeped in the pain and loss of his early childhood years. When Jiang Fanghao was just a little boy, barely starting first grade, his most beloved and respected father suddenly passed away due to a severe illness. His mother, overwhelmed by grief, wept day after day. Little Jiang Fanghao hugged his mother tightly, trying to comfort her with all his innocence and love. "It's okay, Mom. I'll always be by your side." In response to his comfort, his mother pushed him away forcefully, laughing crazily and shouting foolishly, "Who in this world can be by anyone's side forever?" And then, the very next day, his poor mother took her own life in her bedroom, leaving little Jiang Fanghao abandoned and lost. When Jiang Fanghao innocently pushed open the door to her room, still holding the Christmas card he had meticulously made himself, wanting to show his mother this small gift, what he saw was a pool of dried, dark blood spread across the floor, forever imprinted in his tender young mind. From that fateful day, Jiang Fanghao felt himself beginning to change in a negative way. His friends around him gradually drifted away, unable to tolerate his suffocating, possessive, almost perverse need for control. They uttered careless yet bitter accusations and ostracized him. "You're such a freak. You even have to control who I eat lunch with. That was just my cousin. Why are you reacting so violently? I told you I'm not going to be your friend anymore. Why do you keep clinging to me? You're so scary, you know that? Don't you have other friends? Why do you keep sticking to me?" Gradually, Jiang Fanghao became an isolated, lonely person, living in his own world of solitude and obsession. Until one day, he coincidentally met a little girl in a vibrant flower garden. Not only did she proactively strike up a conversation with him, but every day she would secretly bring him delicious, warm food full of human kindness. Jiang Fanghao looked at the small portion of food in his hand, then bewilderedly looked up and asked, "Why, aren't you afraid of me?" The little girl tilted her head, looking at him with clear eyes, and replied in an innocent voice, "Why should I be afraid of you?" "Aren't we friends?" Jiang Fanghao bowed his head, unconsciously crumpling the hem of his shirt in his hand, his voice choked. "They all say I'm very strange, always clinging to people like glue, making everyone annoyed." The little girl suddenly smiled brightly like the morning sun, dispelling all the gloom and worry in his heart. "Then you can just cling to me, I'm not afraid." And from that day forward, indeed, no matter how much of her time Jiang Fanghao took up, no matter how much he bothered her, she never once complained, resented, or showed annoyance. "I'll be by your side forever." That sentence was like a sacred promise that had been etched deep into Jiang Fanghao's heart. He always wondered, forever, really? He remembered his mother once saying someone would be by his side forever, but then his mother was no longer with him. And now, he told himself, his mother was wrong. However, an incident occurred. That little girl who had promised to be by his side suddenly moved away. Jiang Fanghao was alone on the familiar swing, immersed in the fading sunset, patiently waiting. He waited and waited until night fell, everything plunged into darkness, but no one came. The next day, with a little remaining hope, he woke up early again, still sitting in the same spot, hoping for a miracle. This time, he waited from the brilliant sunrise until the full moon dominated the silent night sky, but despairingly, no one came to find him. Jiang Fanghao bowed his head, enveloped by an endless sorrow. "Mom, I'm sorry, I was still wrong." "So that little girl back then was me?" I gently asked. Jiang Fanghao nodded slightly, his eyes filled with sorrow. "As soon as I entered university, I recognized you." He bowed his head, his voice choked. "I'm sorry, I won't be like that anymore in the future." As he spoke, his hand trembled as he took mine and pleaded, I won't cling to you and demand kisses anymore. Please don't be annoyed, please don't leave me." His words were like a desperate cry for help from a lost traveler in a vast desert, yearning for a life-saving drop of water. He was like a blind lover, chasing after a mirage disappearing on the horizon. But no, he wasn't lost, and I wasn't a fleeting mirage. For that reason, I hugged him tightly for a long time, my arms like a protective shield. "It's not your fault, it's okay," I whispered, soothing his bleeding heart. After that, I told Jiang Fanghao to pull out all the hidden cameras in the house. He bowed his head, stammering, "It's just that when I was too tired in the lab, I just wanted to see you a little." His voice was tiny, like a child trying to justify his mistake. "I know." I gently stroked his head, comforting him. Then, from behind my back, I took out several boxes of various sizes. "Don't use those tiny spy-like ones anymore. They don't look decent at all. Use these bigger ones instead. They can be plugged in, so you don't have to change batteries all the time." Jiang Fanghao suddenly looked up, his eyes glistening as if holding an entire sky. "What, wife?" he called out to me, his voice full of love and emotion. I hugged him again tightly. "It's okay," I repeated, soothing the anxieties in his heart. "I'll be by your side forever." From now on, this promise would be the most sincere promise, proven by my actions and the love I had for him. Music.